What is up? We are back in the studio here. I'm doing a little solo where I usually like to go through, usually how I repurpose this is I go through my email from the Saturday before. So like I throw out an email called Unfollow the Herd, where I do anything in business, entrepreneurship, and real estate. And anyway, we put that content out for free. You can go and subscribe. I think there's 2,500 plus people already doing so. So make sure you go unfollow the herd and sign up for that email. You can find it, my LinkedIn, pretty easily. Check me out there. But usually what I do is I will repurpose this into that email. I'll repurpose this doing a live, and, we post this through the podcast, and, we try to keep things fresh that way. And what I'm going to convert to today is because we've actually been working a lot. I just reflected on Q3, kind of what went well, what didn't go so well, and what I want to correct in Q4. And while most of you know, I'm doing content a lot, and I just thought I would help provide you guys some value today on basically what I'm doing in content. And if you want to copy it, if you want to ask me how, those are the types of questions, and make sure to leave in the comments below. This helps me a ton create new content to what you're curious about. It's like, okay, what are you doing in content? How are you making this all up? How are you keeping, fresh ideas? And what a tool I use a lot is repurposing. And, so I'm going to go through basically step by step on how what algorithm we use for producing content, and how much of it is brand new content. How much of it is just repurposed, and just what my week looks like week to week when we shoot content. So hopefully this helps some of you, because I think, if you're following me, I'm I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I'm on X, I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, email every Saturday. We're doing a live right now. It gets converted to our podcast, which goes on Spotify and YouTube and all these other platforms. And then, we got feeds on TikTok, and the list goes on and on, right? It's overwhelming if you thought about trying to get on all of them. So we made a great milestone in Q3. We've, upped our followers. We basically want to gain followers and hopefully gain viewership, and hopefully the main goal is to help everybody. What I want to explain to you first is, why I'm doing this and why I think you should be curious about doing this. It creates, people have asked me, hey, Mark, do you make any money doing that? Or why are you doing it? And it's no, it's not like I'm in the mud right now, right? I've been doing this basically for a year now, and I have not received a bunch of money from anything. I've sold some courses. Of course, I've done some different things, but it's not that I'm making money doing this. It's that I gain a shitload of credibility. I gain, investors' trust. They know who I am. They know my values. They know me as a person almost better than I get on a phone call with them, and they have specific questions. I've gained, a ton of viewership, exposure to different people that didn't know about me, that now know me. And I got friends, a network, a bigger network. It's US wide. I got buddies in Arizona now, San Diego, Florida, different people in different places, all over the place. These people know my values. They're my people, right? They're entrepreneurs. They're either real estate investors. They do social media. Maybe they just like what I'm saying as a diversification for their investments. But the exposure and how easy it is to post, right? You literally can shoot something on your phone, post that for free right now, right? It costs you nothing to hit post. It's literally the biggest fear for you is judgment of others, right? That's what holds 99% of people back. For every 100 reels you see, there's only one that's going to probably be worth a damn through them. So, but most people don't want to expose themselves. They don't want to what happens if I fail? And everyone's going to know. It's everyone wants to know that. So and it should be your duty to do that. So hopefully they don't do that in the future. I don't just post all about the good things. I'm posting about the bad things. And guess what does better? A lot of the bad things do, right? But I have some buddies now, obviously Ryan Pineda, one of my mentors through social media, and another guy, Ryan McGinn. He explains a process called 𝗨𝗲𝗍, C-U-B. And basically what it means is confusing, unbelievable, or boring. And this is kind of like, if you got through the fear of judgment and you're ready to post, you're ready to make a change, you're ready just like to expose yourself and to gain new, to build yourself as a credible person, and throw everything out there, let everyone learn from your journey, then this is how you're going to start producing content. It's the 𝗨𝗲𝗍. Confusing, unbelievable, and boring. And it's basically that in a simple reel where you're trying to provide value to someone, right? Like that's what all we're trying to do here is just gain trust of the viewer. We want to have, one single focus point. So we don't want to be confusing, right? Like we don't want to be talking about the Jets and then suddenly talk about, something in real estate. Like I don't know where you're going with this, right? Like, so just make sure that it's ultra clear that you have one super focused laser point that you want to hit on that reel, on that ad. You could be writing this, right? And don't blue balls the viewer. Don't like tell them what you're going to talk about and then do it. And then like, don't give them the end result. Like they left. It's like, it could have been the best hook line ever, which would have been gaining their attention in a 3-second world. And read StoryBrand if you haven't. That'd be a great book for something on creating hooks. But like, then you don't give them the juice. Like you got them hooked, but you never gave them the content. So they never followed. Like they thought it was good. You don't provide, social proof of it. It's unbelievable. Basically, you said you made $1 million, but like, tell me how. I don't believe you. Viewers they need to understand how you became believable. The pictures don't match the context. So you're going to see a lot of editors. They're from across seas, believe it or not. And they work for $3 to $9 an hour. So they're more affordable. But like, I think I had like Jen, didn't we have Hitler on like one of our reels? Like Adolf Hitler like pops up and it's like not even in context. Well, I don't even know what it was about, but like influential people. Adolf Hitler comes on. Okay, maybe he is influential, but that's what their little app or AI told them, right? And I believe Adolf Hitler is influential, but it probably shouldn't have been his image up on there, right? Like, but like a lot of things have B-roll and things change so fast in the 3-second world that you got to have a lot of B-roll, a lot of very good English in this, and this improves your speaking overall as you practice these. Don't use complex language. Remember, people only understand things at the 3rd grade level. That's the way you need to speak. Literally, if you can go down to 2nd grade level, like don't get beyond 6th grade level. And a great app that we use for this is called the Hemingway app. And that's basically where you can write at a 5th or 6th grade level or less to make sure the reader understands it or to make sure the listener understands it. So Hemingway app, I don't know, you can Google it. And it's a great free app that you can use and see if your writing's too complex. Maybe the video's, too short, doesn't even pertain to doesn't have enough details. So like short videos are great if they provide the amount of detail that you want. Like, I don't want to know that you drove, I drove a car. No, I drove a 92 Pontiac Grand Am teal, like get very specific with things. And people love that detail. Like they don't want just a broad, like, hey, yeah, I drove my car through this, they want to know, I drove my green 92 Grand Prix, whatever it is. So just think about adding deeper detail. And it doesn't take much longer, but it brings a lot of like a picture in people's minds. So, and make sure it flows smoothly. So don't just like jump all over, try to hook them. And then try to provide, like, give them the answer. And they're like, oh, okay. And then give them a cliffhanger, give them a reason to stick around, and then provide more value. and then close it out with like a call to action. Where else do you want me to go? Do I follow you? Do I go subscribe here? Do I, what do I do to try to, what do you want me to do now? So you got their attention to the end. You might as well, execute on something and get them to another place that you're at. And make sure, like, this is probably the biggest one. Make sure the energy is like, boom, like you better drink Red Bulls or coffees before you get on camera, because I can't tell you, like, if you're boring as listening to you as a person, then like, you just got to, like, Jen will just cut me off. Jen does most of my edit. She's like, yeah, you're just sucking right now. And, I understand it. My thought process is very slow. I can't think of, I'm just not bringing enough energy to the game. And she realizes it. So then we stop. You can only do, like, I can do bursts of 10 reels, but like after 10, like there's guys who can do 30 or 200 in a row, like reels that are 30 seconds to a minute and a half long. That is a crazy amount of energy and thought process that goes into that. I'm not one of them guys. I'm only able to go like, 5 to 15. I feel like that's my sweet spot. And I'd rather shoot more days. Well, those bigger influencers, they'll shoot once a month. So they're prepared for these calls, and they just lock in and hammer a lot of caffeine and run down. So, and then another strategy that I want to explain to you is the HEM strategy. So this would start like, this is your funnel. So you should have a really big funnel up on top. So hobbies, and then it'll go expertise is narrowing down in the funnel. And then the very bottom, mastery, where most people have this backwards. They're providing all their content, real estate, the very specific construction, business, the very things you talk about each and every day that you've mastered in business, when you should actually be talking about your hobbies and interests, the HEM, H-E-M. So hobbies, expertise, and mastery. So hobbies and interests. That's what you should be talking about 80% of the time. What are the fun things you do? I golf. I love hanging out with my kids. I love teaching my kids about real estate and financial literacy and buying things and doing things with them. So I try to shoot a lot of content around that. And then you got the next 10%, which is expertise, basically things you've been paid to do. So, hey, I sold some courses, or hey, I've done a lot of construction. Of course, that's where my career was. I've done a lot of concrete work, so I talk a lot about that. And these are real, like, expert skills that you've, basically been paid to do. Maybe you've been paid to speak. Maybe you've, you do anything to earn money every day. It could be your W-2 job. And then the last 10% is really mastery. Like, why are you wealthy? Why are you rich? How do you drive that car? Why do you have a big house? All the stuff on, like, the real why to, like, how you became successful. So most people want to know about your hobbies. It's like, is it, it could be food, it could be sports, it could be your pets, whatever it is. Think about that 80% of the time, and the bottom two, 10 and 10. Things you've been paid to do, and then really why you became super successful. And then, you gotta be able to think about and run these. So you got the cub, and then you got the HEM strategy. So we both understand that. You can replay and listen to this. And then now it's like, you have to build trust in literally less than a minute. So what do you need to do that? You got to have one single outcome. You need to tell me the exact steps to do it. So give me all the tools. Is it an app, right? Like I provided you the Hemingway app. What else do I need to the Hemingway app? Well, I just need to give you the exact way. So what I'm going to tell you to do, I'll tell you exactly that you can do it. Okay. You're going to download the Hemingway app, or I think you can only find it online. So you're going to search for it online. You're going to copy what you wrote out. Maybe it was a post that was going to go on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. You're going to paste it inside the Hemingway app. You're going to look. It's going to tell you the yellow lines are going to be areas that are too complex. The red lines could be way too complex, and the rest of it shouldn't be unmarked. And you're going to have to go ahead and correct every sentence that's underlined and make it more simple. So that's exactly how you're going to use that app. And then you're going to copy that and paste it back into LinkedIn and hit post. And I guarantee you your post will have probably a better reach because it is more engaging and easier to read. So there's a little example of how you could do a reel like that. Overcome all objections and problems that they will have. So, I mean, people are going to say like, hey, do this to make $1 million. Well, what problems are they going to have? They're going to be like, no, that's bullshit. I can't do that. You know, you gotta be able to overcome objections. So if you're in the sales world, it's like, hey, how do I solve objections and problems really fast? But you have to do this within a reel. So think about it. And that's kind of your cliffhanger. And now you need a call to action to go do it. Now you knew to go do X, then go and do it, right? Like, where can I go do it? Then, you know, but building away trust in less than 60 seconds is very challenging. That's why the best marketing people in the world can do this. You know, give away what people sell because no one knows what, you know, really know who you are. So don't just tell me why. I don't care. Just, you know, tell me the how, right? Like, I don't care why you did it. I care how you did it. How can I go and do this, right? Like, so these are just some of the thought processes when you're creating, you know, content. You know, like I said before, when we're creating reels, it's a strategy of hook right to the value, then give them the cliffhanger, give them more value, call to action. That should be how you think when you're doing a reel or any kind of content. If you follow that strategy, you will keep them engaged and hopefully engaged till the very end. That is your main goal. And now I'm going to go really quickly through how I'm producing content. And that's a little bit about how to reel. But here's how I do it within, you know, Marc's every day. This is how we're pushing. I think we're pushing 125 and now we're upping it to 150 pieces each week. And, you know, this is 150 pieces of content, fresh content that are going out each week. Literally, no one's paying me to do them. I'm paying to get them done and edited and posted. And so that's what I'm telling you. It's very expensive. I'm spending, you know, probably right around $10,000 to make sure that this is happening each month. It's costing me 120 grand a year, maybe even a little up from that, probably 150 grand when you consider everything in a year. And why would you do this? Well, I will talk about that right after I get through the whole algorithm. So I'm going to tell you about what I'm doing. And I'm going to tell you about why you should be doing this and why that's probably not a lot of money. Jen, let me know if there's any questions too. I don't know if there is or isn't, but so anyway, this is how I'm doing it right now. So basically 1 hour to 2 hours a week, I'm going to call it, I have an original idea. So I have either something I've bought in real estate, maybe something fun I did with my kids, you know, posting stories. I'll sometimes write ideas off of stories, but I'll get original ideas, just something that I did in the last week that I'm proud of and I think it would provide value to others. Well, then I hire I have a writer that writes for me. It's called a ghostwriter. And he writes engaging posts based on the idea that I give him. And so he rewrites one post per day. And right now it's just he rewrites basically what I write him. He writes more engaging than I do. I have probably 6th grade grammar, failed in English, so I'm not the best writer, and I identified that. But he helps me write engaging content based on who I am and how I speak. He listens to me talk a lot. So, and then what I do is I take some of the best content from LinkedIn and I repurpose it into 3 tweets or X, whatever you want to call that. And sometimes those could be little images, blips from the original idea, but you got the original idea. Now I got 1 post on LinkedIn, and then I'm getting like 3 posts to Twitter. Then I take some of my best content from LinkedIn and I create a YouTube. And then some of my best content from LinkedIn, I start creating reels on, you know, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And then from there, I create threads. I'm repurposing again some of my best content. So right now for me, the guinea pig really is LinkedIn. And I think if you're not on LinkedIn and if you're not active, like get active on there. That platform is crushing it. Twitter just changed their whole algorithm. No one knows what's going on. And right now it's offering LinkedIn a lot more juice. I'm not saying X won't become the bigger platform in 10 years. I'm just saying right now LinkedIn is crushing. And if you're on there looking for an ideal customer, start creating that. So I'm putting a lot of effort into LinkedIn because I think that's where the best comes from. And then I repurpose, right? Like literally I'm just repurposing, shooting 20 reels a week off of my best LinkedIn content. And now you're like, well, how do you get more in one reel? Like I might have better posts that come from that, but I also might use my best story from, let's say, Instagram, and I create a reel from it, right? Like it's just creating your own algorithm, figure what people like and what they click on, and then just double down on that. Whatever content happened really good for you in the last 90 days, reuse it again in the next 90. Like it's all a big repurposed deal machine. Doing the same thing on LinkedIn. Just realize we're not coming up with fresh content all the time. 7 to 10 posts of fresh content, that's a lot of new content to produce. And the rest of it is all repurposed, right? So from those 1 to 2 hours, I'm getting 10 posts, and I'm repurposing into 150 posts. And one of my original ideas, I create an email every Saturday. Again, I wish I wrote every single one of those, but I give a concept that I want to take down, and we write an email every Saturday where this is going to be a really close following. They will follow you from your Instagram, your Reels, your LinkedIn, because remember that all those platforms could go away one day. You lose your whole following. What you will have, though, is that email list, and those are your closest people that will buy your products. They'll build a lot of trust with them if you provide them a lot of value, and they're your ideal customer. They trust you. They know you. You've been vetted by them. So I think it's so important to create an email newsletter. And then just like we're doing now, we're shooting this. This is my solo podcast. I shoot every Monday, and then we go live on Instagram as well. Just to repurpose this will go live on Instagram. Then, hey, if you don't listen to my podcast, which not everyone does, hopefully it gets them there and they're like, wow, I don't really need to listen to his lives anymore. He just posts these out the very next week. So, I can go ahead and listen to him and listen to his podcast in my car or wherever you listen to podcasts. And then what we're doing right now obviously gets posted as a podcast. It gets posted as a video. Every podcast we do goes out as video. I think that's accurate, right, Jen? And everything that we shoot as a podcast will get shot with video. Video is just the future. Think about the newer generations and the people coming out. And so between all those methods, we're pushing 150 actual posts every single week of new posts to all the platforms. And so let's get rid down. I want to close this up, but I want to talk about why you should be doing this and why I think this is such a huge deal for you. Not for me into this 1 year. I was in the mud trying to figure it out, always trying to improve now. We're through the posting phase. We're through everything. It's literally just trying to get a little bit better. We identify it as finding bottlenecks. No different in business. You find bottlenecks in our content and we try to improve on it. And like I said, I'm spending $150,000 a year, and I don't expect everyone to do that, but I do expect you to spend some form of money on building your own brand. And this is really why. I mean, think about all the generations coming up. Everyone used to read the newspaper. Everyone used to read everything on Google. The boomers still do, right? They're not. You even have boomers, though, on TikTok now and starting to get used to the social media, but that is not their main form of getting there. Think about everyone, the millennials growing up, the Gen X or Gen Zs are a little older, whatever, the one that's one older. Still not really used to all the phone stuff, right? They are and they aren't. Some are illiterate more than others. But you think of these generations, before the millennials, everyone's growing up with phones. Everyone's identifying everything with video because it's I don't know, must be dopamine for their systems. Everything's in a faster world. Everything's video. And then you got now also without video, you have podcasts, which are now like the top way to market yourself. We were talking about this, like the Kelces, like they have their own little podcast. Now they're number one trending. I don't know where they were at before the little Swiftie took over, but you know, she, and I was watching football last night, and he's like, he had another he's up to 1 million followers now, or all of a sudden, or just gained 1 million followers, I think is what, just since he's been the whole talks with Taylor. And then now their podcast is trending. It's like their podcast didn't change, but they produced it. They talk about things in there, and now everyone wants to listen, right? Like it's the power of marketing. He's just leveraging that source now. So now he can say things in his podcast, probably gain more followers, right? He's got all these Swiftie followers now. He's got to make it into the circle of Swiftie trustees. So they got to do due diligence on this guy. And where else can you get due diligence on a guy than in his podcast? He's talking real. He's talking about topics he doesn't care. And he's talking about what's on his mind, right? So, you know, just that he's one example, but like podcasts are the most listened to form now, you know, of individual people. They're not listening to the radio anymore. They're not watching news anymore. You know, the people are listening to podcasts, and that's why you see it blowing up. Wasn't overnight, but I'm not in this for overnight. And when you get into social media or influencing or just marketing your personal brand, you got to realize that it's not going to be overnight, right? Like there's guys that have been doing it for 10 years that finally have 100,000 followers, you know? They just probably went about it themselves. They didn't have any help. They didn't look for mentors. And you know, they do great today, but it took a long time. So it's a side hustle really is what it is. It's an investment in yourself. And you know, I think there's no better way to gain reach, but to build your personal brand. I think anyone not doing it today is really falling behind, because as you get social media blowing up more and more, people are spending more time on it. Is it saturated? I don't think so. You know, we're posting for free on everything. So it doesn't seem like it, but people are able to get to know you. You're able to get exposed to a bigger audience. You'll be able to gain trust from your audience and what you're talking about. If you have any questions, I think I told you why social media is important. I told you the algorithm. I told you some things that you can follow. If you like this type of content, like hit up Jen or I, or DM me the word content. Whether I can help you, you know, set up your own algorithm, or, you know, talk about some of the wins and losses that I've learned. You know, I'm up over just like 30,000 followers. So I'm just touching like the surface here, but I have been through the mud for a year and getting over the hump of judgment, and getting into the grind of actually producing enough content to get it out there far enough so I can consistently post. That takes a lot of effort, and you have to be very committed, because there's times when you don't want to stare at a camera. There's times when you don't want to produce content. Well, you got to keep doing it. And so, DM me the word content, or, you know, message me the word content and see if we can help you. Jen and I would be more than willing to set up on a phone call with you guys and see if we can help. So hopefully that helped you guys today. I appreciate you all. I will see you on the next live and next little podcast. Thank you all.